Hey, this is Kevin Douglas, playing some Legacy Slivers today, and this looks like a pretty keepable hand. We're going to be able to get an Aether Vial on one, um, or on our first turn. Lead that in a Gale Rider Sliver, and a couple good Slivers here. I think we're going to keep. So we have to lead Mutavault, Ancient Ziggurat, want to be able to cast Aether Vial. And so Mutavault and Aether Vial, hopefully they don't, they probably don't put us on Slivers. It's not a very common deck. Maybe they think we're on like goblins. So I picked this deck up for like the first time in like a year, maybe more than a year, maybe like 2 years. They're gonna go ahead and Thoughtseize us. Our hand's pretty redundant with like two lords, some ability slivers, but they're all pretty good. So I'm guessing they're gonna take Gale Rider Sliver. But yeah, so I picked this deck back up. Played one match with it. Actually, it wasn't like awful, and so I spent some time updating the list, added a little more blue to make Force Will better. Some of the cards I thought were maybe geared more towards an older metagame, so shifted those, updated the sideboard a little bit. And yeah, so it looks like they're maybe going to be taking our Lord effects and trying to keep the slivers a little bit smaller. So what we'd like to draw here is one of our evasion slivers, or like protection slivers that either give us Shroud or make the opponent spend mana to target. Definitely want to use Aether Vial's ability. So there's Virulent Sliver. That's kind of an interesting addition. It gives them all poisonous, and so it definitely is good at racing. I think we're going to lead out. We can't lead out Hibernation Sliver because we don't have the two colored mana sources. So I think we have to lead out Predatory Sliver here. And then we can flash in or vial in one of these slivers next turn. And where Virulent Sliver might be good is that it looks like we're playing maybe a combo type deck. Some decks include Lotus Petal just for a little bit of acceleration, kind of like the Red Prison decks. Not really sure what this black base deck is doing with it, but typically if I see like a black strategy with Lotus Petal, I think like Storm. In which case it might be fine to just rush out the Virulent Sliver, try to go the poison route. I think the risk is that if you start doing poison, well, so the good thing here is that it's not actually infect, it's poisonous. And if I recall, not only does it deal regular damage, but might also do give poison as well. So those are Dark Depths. There's Vampire Hexmage. We are going to have Flying. And so I think with Hibernation Sliver and Gale Rider Sliver, we're going to be able to block this Dark Depths a few times. So I'm going to want to put Gale Rider Sliver in. Up my Vial to 2 next turn to put Hibernation Sliver in. And if they don't have a way to get rid of Gale Rider Sliver, then I think we're in a pretty good spot. Another Aether Vial, it's not really what we want. So I think we just cast Virulent Sliver here. And Hibernation Sliver. I might as well Vial it in now. And so what that will do is let us, we could attack in, they make a Dark Ducks token to block. Whichever one they block, we bounce back to our hands, but it can't be Gale Rider Sliver, so we need that flying. So actually, I don't think we have a really good choice here. I think we just have to pass. And then I think we're set up well for next turn. So they're going to go ahead and make a Merit Lage token. So it looks like we're playing like Turbo Depths. So if they have removal for Gale Rider Sliver, then I think we're just dead. They're going to pay 2 life to Thoughtseize our Aether Vial, which is fine. I suppose we should have cast that last turn. That's a bit of my mistake. I wasn't thinking, I was just thinking that it was kind of redundant. Left the Mutawald up for no good reason. So that's just me trying to think through lines on a deck I don't play very often. So I think we block here. We can do it with the Virulent Sliver. Although our yeah, I think we block here with the Virulent Sliver. So it's blocked. We can go ahead and return it. So what's kind of funny is that they kind of wasted that Thoughtseize. I think if they maybe had realized that we could do that, maybe they wouldn't have Thoughtseize right away. There's a Thespian stage. They're down to 13 life. We're going to leave this at 2. It makes me wonder if I want to just go in for regular damage. No, so it looks like they might not have a way to handle those combat tricks. So we'll begin sideboarding. And so we want to bring in the Crocus. Pie the Needle seems good. Let's see here. Don't think we need to do Siphon Sliver or Harmonic Sliver. Siphon Sliver is interesting. If we have Lifelink, they're kind of hoping to get in for 20 damage all at once and just have that end the game. A lot of decks in Legacy can't block a big flyer like that. A lot of them don't gain life, so often just a Merit Lage token is like game. We do have a lot of flying. No, actually, we just have the Gale Rider Sliver. And so I'm trying to think if Siphon Sliver is going to be better than anything else in our deck. I don't think we need to go the poison route. Hibernation Sliver was really good in combination with Gale Rider Sliver. Like Diffusion Sliver. We could like cut a Lord, but I think, you know, with two Siphon Slivers, I think is probably enough. We brought in the Pie the Needles. I think we'll go ahead and submit the deck. So 3 Aether Vials and not a whole lot of Slivers. I think we'll probably want to mulligan this. I mean, we are set up to... Yeah, I think it's just not enough action, so I'm going to go ahead and mulligan. I think this looks a little bit better. And I like Diffusion Sliver, so I'm going to put that on top. So there's an upright Bayou. And I think here I might want to name Python Needle. And there's a couple targets. So if I look at Dark Depths, and you have to bear with me here because I don't play a ton of Legacy right now. So it does not stop Dark Depths, but what it would stop is like a Hex Mage or a Thespian stage. So I think what I want to do is go turn 1 Python Needle, turn 2 Diffusion Sliver, and then I'll protect all, and then I can go turn 3 like Gale Rider, Sinew Sliver. So I think we can go Sliver Hive, Python Needle. I'm gonna probably name Thespian Stage. Maybe just to slow them down a little bit. Feel free to comment in the video if you're like a Legacy expert and there's like a lot better target for Python Needle than Thespian Stage in this matchup. But yeah, pretty much the ones I can think of are Vampire Hexmage and Thespian Stage. There's an Inquisition. I think that they would want to take this Diffusion Sliver. If they do bring in removal, it's going to make it a lot harder for them to remove anything. I would think. That's just like from my side of the matchup. They might also take this Gale Rider Sliver because it does provide a blocker, a way to block the Merit Lage token. So there's Thespian Stage. So I feel good, pretty good about naming that with Python Needle. And there's Siphon Sliver. So we have a pretty good curve here now. So I think we go to Fusion Sliver, Siphon Sliver. Go ahead and F6 here. And I think we have some time because they can't use Thespian Stage ability even if they play Dark Depths this turn. Typically you have to go like turn 1 Urborg, Thespian Stage, Dark Depths to get a token that fast. They're going to Sylvan Scrying. Probably find the Dark Depths, I would think. Yep. And then next turn, unless we draw another land that doesn't deal us damage like City of Brass, we are going to go down in life to cast Siphon Sliver. Then we'll hopefully gain that life back with Diffusion Sliver. Alright, so Lotus Petal was another way that they could have accelerated into that Merit Lage, but it looks like they had to Sylvan Scrying to find it. So really hope for an upright land here, or a land that doesn't deal us damage. We did not get there. So yeah, we're gonna have to go Siphon Sliver. We'll go back up to 20 here. Then I think what I want to see next turn is probably like a I don't even know if I have the. I think there's a sliver that gives shadow. Okay, so they're gonna abrupt decay the Python Needle. That's gonna let them use that Thespian stage on Dark Depths. So now I think drawing Caracas would be very good. Aether Vial's not what we wanted. And so we still can draw into Caracas next turn. If we play the Sinew Sliver, and send the Diffusion Sliver in, we'll go up to 22 life. We'll block with Dark Depths. If they attack, we won't be dead. And then we have, I think, one out in drawing Caracas. There's no point in sending the Siphon Slither in. It's just too. Dark Depths is, or the Maral Age token's too big. They're gonna choose not to block there. I think here's the Merit Lage token incoming. And unfortunately, even though we have some pretty good slivers out, they're going to win this race. 2020 is really big. I guess another out is if we draw a flying sliver. And then we can maybe chump a few turns. So it seems like they lined up their threats pretty well, or their answers pretty well. Discarded the Gale Rider Sliver, knew they had the Abrupt Decay for the Python Needle. They're going to play another Dark Depths. Cavern of Souls does do it. We can go up to 7, 9, and still die. So I'll go ahead and concede that game. Begin sideboarding. Yeah, I think we just run it back. Python Needles are pretty much the Python Needles and Caracas, I think, are just kind of our best sideboard cards in this matchup. Other than that, hopefully we can just get some like a Gale Rider Sliver out, some protection. Hibernation Sliver is very good, as we saw in game 1, where, you know, if you can block and bounce. It doesn't look like, so we have Crystalline Sliver, which gives Shroud, but we do not have the one that gives like Shadow. Should make it hard to block. Opponent's spending a little bit more time sideboarding here. I mean, Meddling Mage is interesting. I could name like Abrupt Decay with Meddling Mage. Maybe that's not awful. Might even be able to like sacrifice a Lord Effect or two for that. So we have Caracas, which is very good. Python Needle. couple slivers. So turn 1, Pie the Needle, turn 2, Diffusion Sliver, turn 3, Siphon Sliver. Definitely keepable. Make sure you run out of Sliver Hive instead of an Ancient Ziggurat to cast Pie the Needle. We'll name Thespian Stage. A little bit of lag there. Go ahead and pass the turn. So it actually makes me wonder if I want those meddling mages in instead of Force of Will. I mean, Force of Will can slow them down a little bit with like grabbing like a Sylvan Scrying, but their combo's like really land based, and I can't counter like an Abrupt Decay on the Python Needle. So it actually seems like maybe one of the weaker cards. In retrospect, maybe I take the Force of Wills out. So they're going to see that we have the Krakus. Taking out the Diffusion Sliver, that'll make it easier for them to Abrupt Decay something. Also slows us down a turn. And I'm guessing they have Wasteland, so we're going to wait to run out this Krakus until maybe it's safe. Or, I mean, until we have to. Unfortunately, they can just wait to make their token until they have a Wasteland to hit Krakus. So we'll go ahead and play out Sliver Hive again. We did not draw another Sliver, which is kind of a bummer. We're kind of going to skip a turn here. So with a couple Sliver Hives, a couple Ancient Ziggurats, what we want to do now is just rip like Sliver after Sliver after Sliver. We don't really have any card draw, or no filtering or anything like that, so the opponent's not under a whole lot of pressure right now. We're just kind of banking on this Thespian Stage and Krakus. They can find a Wasteland with the Sylvan Scrying. In which case, you know, maybe we wanted to actually Pie the Needle Wasteland because we had Krakus. I think if we find another Pie the Needle, that might be a good card to name. I'm not sure how many Abrupt Decays they run. Probably 4 is my guess. But it kind of shuts them off from 2 angles. So Inquisition, yeah, so they're just under like no pressure now. Get rid of Siphon Sliver. Now they know we just drew another land. But fortunately, we do have a high density of creatures. Unfortunately, it looks like we're just going to keep drawing land here. But at some point, I mean, we have to start drawing creatures. Ideally, we'll get some of the slivers that we want. There's certain abilities that are better than others in the matchup. I think what we need right now are probably not the Lord effects. We need like the flying, the evasion, being able to bounce back to hand, recur blockers, that kind of thing. So if they end of turn Abrupt Decay, they can play a Dark Depths on their turn, be able to make a token. We still have a chance to play Caracas, so definitely just run out Muscle Sliver here, and I don't think we need to run out Caracas. We can just run out another land. Might as well make it Cavern of Souls. Play Muscle Sliver. We'll go ahead and F6 here. So we're really kind of banking on this Python Needle buying us some time. And then we need to rip a couple good top decks in a row, I think. So they're going to bait here. Whether or not they want to abrupt decay this Python Needle is my guess. So there's 2 black, so probably removal on the Muscle Sliver. I guess not. So I know the opponent searched up this Thespian stage. 5 cards in hand. There's the Dark Depths. So next turn we'll run out this Caracas. Unfortunately, if they have a Wasteland, they're going to be able to play it on their turn. Wasteland my Caracas, and then create their Dark Depths token after the Abrupt Decay. Apply the Needle. So just pretty terrible luck here, I feel like. We just keep ripping like land after land. We don't even really run that much land. So it's a little bit unfortunate. But we do have some things that might buy us a little bit of time on the board. Caracas, Python Needle. My guess is Abrupt Decay is incoming. Looks like not. So that's a good sign for us if they're starting to go the old route of removing ice counters from Dark Depths by tapping their lands. It did kind of force us to play the Caracas earlier than maybe we wanted to. And unfortunately, they can Expedition map for a Wasteland here. So I don't think that we're going to be able to keep this Caracas for too long. So there's Ghost Quarter, which is as good as Strip Mine against us. We don't run any basics. Yeah, no basics. But the fact that they don't have Abrupt Decay is good for us with the Python Needle. So either ripping another Python Needle or some decent Slivers is what we want to do right now. Another Muscle Sliver is fine. It does help us race a little bit. And so they missed the turn, taking a counter up Dark Depths. I mean, in 9 turns, we have a much faster clock than 9. Then, you know, they're going to be able to take these counters off. So they're really going to have to find like an Abrupt Decay or some way to like sweep our board. To buy time. There's Python Needle. I guess like Aether Vial or Raucous maybe. They don't know that we only run a single Krakus, so maybe they just have a little insurance against us drawing another one. I mean, we have so much mana, I can't imagine they would name Aether Vial, but maybe they do. So Sliver Hive, that's kind of interesting. I guess I didn't think about the fact that we can create Sliver tokens. So that's actually a really good call on their part. one that I wasn't really thinking about. So I should probably know my own cards. Diffusion Sliver is interesting. It does give us a 2-turn clock. Because we're going to get in for 6 here. So unless they can, I mean, and they can't Abrupt Decay and block a Muscle Sliver. With the Dark Depths. So if they Abrupt Decay the Pine Needle here, next turn they're able to go Dark Depths, make a Merit Lage. They've already seen our hand, so I might as well play out this Ancient Ziggurat. And then, yeah, then we'd have to draw a Flying Sliver. But it looks like they weren't able to deal with both the Pine Needle and the Gracchus, so won that match. Feels pretty good. So, Slivers, pretty fun deck. Like I said, picked it back up after like a year or two since I had the list on MTGO. Updated a little bit for the change in the meta. Definitely not as much. I mean, there still is Miracles, but it's not exactly the same meta as it was, 2 years ago. So updated a little bit and just kind of run it through its paces to see, how it does. And so far, it seems pretty fun.